Peace to the gods. You're listening to Hindsight Radio.
Blog Talk Radio.
Taking a step back, maybe you could tell the audience, you actually were also on the forefront in high school. You basically said, I'm not happy with what they're giving me, the syllabus, reading and other stuff, and you basically created your own curriculum. Could you just briefly discuss? And it's almost like the same exact thing with the books, being ahead of it and people having to catch up.
Well, actually,
not people, but the establishment.
What I had to do was I had to read what I was assigned to read and what I wanted to read. So it was two different things. You see, because if you cannot keep up academically with the curriculum that they're giving you, then they'll just say that you're not intelligent, or that you have attention deficit disorder, or that you're not competitive, or that you have some kind of DNA inferiority, or they'll invent some kind of a problem for you and then slap the label on your face and give you some drugs to say, to medicate yourself. So I had to actually master the academic curriculum that I was given in high school and in college, and then create an alternative curriculum. So in addition to reading all of the foolishness that I was assigned in high school and college, I also read back then Carter G. Woodson's Miseducation of the Negro, W.E.B. Du Bois, The Souls of Black Folk, E. Franklin Frazier's The Black Bourgeoisie. I read Frederick Douglass, his narrative. I read Autobiography of Malcolm X. Everything that could give me the answer to the question, what happened? Because when you're young and black in America and you come outside your project building, that is the question that is looming over your head. Like if you were a comic character, there would be a box and it would say, what happened here? And I think if you don't have the patience or the discipline to read and to study, you'll never get the answer to that question. And you'll start to think that you're living that way because you deserve it. Or that the reason why your mother and father don't have any money is because they're just stupid. They're just not as smart as everybody else. You'll never understand where wealth is, where it was, who took what, who conquered who. You'll never understand the movement of power if you don't have the discipline and the patience to sit down and read. So,
But do you think, did it surprise you that it took so long for some of these great pieces of work that you're mentioning to make it into the education system? Again, you had to do research to find this material, know that it exists out there. A lot of people back then and even now, they don't know it exists. Were you surprised it's taken so long to change the curriculum, even slightly?
No, the definition of power or education in a system of power is to maintain the current arrangement of power. The educational system in America is to maintain the current arrangement of power. So if the current arrangement of power is that the privileged people are in control, the rest of us are not going to be given any materials that would give us the resources or tools that we need to get into control, because it's to maintain the present position of power in the society. So, no, it's not surprising. I'm just thankful that when I was a young girl, there were people in my community who took an interest in my mind, in the development of my mind. For some reason, maybe heard me talk or something, and then said, hey, I like this little girl, let me help her out. And so I used to compete in constitutional oratorical contests. I had to memorize the Constitution and speak extemporaneously about all of the amendments. I had tutoring after school with Mr. John Dessain, who was a member of the Board of Education, and he introduced me to all these different titles and American poets. And I got to go to a lot of special places and special programs like Princeton Educational Testing Service and all of these things, because everybody wanted to know what happened here. When they came across me, because they would say, okay, wait a minute, she's not following. We've given her the processing to be conquered, and she's not being processed properly. So we need to figure out what happened here. And so I was always invited to participate in all of these kinds of testing events, and I was told all kinds of things when I was young, but in my mind, I was clear.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Truth Tuesday show with your host, Akiem here on Hindsight Radio, the information station changing the nation. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm doing great. Everything's going well. Life is good. There are no complaints. I love that Reverend Ike recording. That's the one that talks about a money-making idea. You can go to his website. I think it's reverendike.org. You can download that. It's about $10 or $11 and download it. And he's talking about you wake up with enthusiasm, going forth into life with enthusiasm, being excited, simply because you're alive and you're able to enjoy life, whatever it throws at you, whether it's something you might not want to deal with or something you want to deal with. I find that the things that I don't want to deal with it, when I deal with it, it's not so bad, and I realize I should have dealt with it. And I actually enjoy that more than the things that I really want to deal with. Those challenges, overcoming opposition. Opposition is going to come at you all the time, and it especially comes at you when you're about to do something great, when you're ready to move on to a higher level. That's when the storms show up. And the storm only shows up to see if you're going to pay attention to it and believe in it and fall victim to your own fear of those things. If you can understand that's all it is, it's just it's an illusion of a problem. It's just a process. It's something that must happen to you in order for you to become better. Become that divine being that you were created to be. You see, you are always divinity. The problem is you don't believe it. You don't believe that you're divinity. There's times in my life where I didn't believe that. I had, very bad thoughts about my own self. And those thoughts about my own self manifested in my reality through other people and things and situations. And once I came to realize that my own bad thoughts about myself was showing up in people and things and problems that I was having, I was able to change my life for the better, and everything became good because I started thinking better about myself. It all starts with the God within you. The work always starts from inside you, not outside you. Once you realize you are the I am, you are God. Yes, you're the God over your situation. I know I'm speaking blasphemous words according to the church, but at this point, I could care less what the church's opinions are. Because from what I see right now, the church believes in this whole pandemic. I think people coming to church wearing masks and all kind of craziness, and at the same time, they say they believe in God. They believe that God can do all things and cure all things. And I'm in church in the house of God, supposedly, and I'm wearing a mask, afraid to shake hands and give hugs to your fellow brothers and sisters. You don't believe in God. You believe in government. You believe in what they say, not in what God says. Back to what I was saying about taking ownership of your mind, taking ownership of how you see yourself in this world. Never think less of yourself. Always think highly of yourself. Think so high of yourself that sometimes people will think you are too arrogant. It's okay. Usually people who think less of themselves will think you are arrogant or too flamboyant. Now, I'm not saying think so much of yourself that you're putting people down. No, I'm saying think so much of yourself that you're also lifting people up. at the same time. You see? You have to be bold and talk highly of yourself. Who else is going to do it? Well, some people might give you a compliment here and there, but if you constantly searching for people to give you validation, you are going to be striving after the win with that one, because you'll never get total satisfaction from that. The only satisfaction you'll ever get is once you become whole within yourself and love yourself and speak highly of yourself daily. So, and getting up in the morning, speaking highly of your day, speaking how you want it to come out to be. Today is going to be a good day. Today is going to be a money-making day. Today is going to be a loving day. Today is going to be peaceful. Everybody I encounter is going to be great people that can help me be better. See, life is a reflection of your thoughts. It's that simple. It's a reflection. And once you understand that you're only looking into a mirror when you're looking at life, then you can fix it. You can change the image in the mirror. Just like some people go in the mirror and they put on makeup, and you guys, you go and you comb your hair, straighten it up, you change the way, you make yourself look good. But you have to make your mind look good. You have to dress your mind up. Put some makeup on that. And some of you ladies are putting makeup on just to cover up the hurt and the pain and the depression you have inside. So the only thing you feel you got is, as long as I dress good and look good and smell good. But inside, you're tore up and you're feeling raggedy. You're feeling hopeless. So you're starting from the outside in. Nothing works. You got to start from the inside out. And then you realize when you pick up that piece of lipstick or that eyeshadow, you may not even need it. Once you see yourself in the right way, you might look at it, wait a minute, this doesn't do any better for me. I look beautiful just like I am. I don't need that. Trust me. Once you see yourself beautiful on the inside, you start looking at yourself in the mirror and say, I don't need that. Same thing with you fellas. I used to cut hair, and, some fellas spend a lot of time in the mirror, primping and prepping and combing and patting and, for my opinion, just a little bit too much primping in the mirror for a man. What is that? That's working from the outside instead of working on the inside. When you fully, as a man, once you fully know who you are, it doesn't matter what people say or do. You can hear things about you negative, and you can just, okay, whatever. You don't have to worry about it. I know at least once a week I get some type of hate comments on my YouTube. Last week met a kind of a challenge, which wasn't a challenge, but it just rolls off your back, because if people are trying to purposely try to destroy or come after you, that means you're doing something great. And that means you need to keep doing it and get better at it. Ignore all of those oppositional people that come your way. So, on to another topic real quick. We did the homeschooling webinar this past Saturday, me and Bathsheba. And during the course of that webinar, by the way, she did a great job putting the material together. It was very informative. It actually opened my eyes to something really important and profound. Did you know that parents can create their own diploma and transcripts for their child? That they can take that information on to a college if they choose to go to college, or if they want to prove before a job that they have a diploma, they can take that, and it's just as legally binding as a state-issued diploma. So I'm hearing this, and how this happened was this. One of the participants in the webinar was talking about his son and how he needed a diploma to get a job because he had pulled him out of school because there was too many issues, and he was going to homeschool him, and he was worried about, well, maybe he's going to have to take the GED. But Beth quickly did some research and said, no, you don't have to do that. You can just give him a diploma from your own homeschool, and it's legally binding. And a light bulb went off in my head. Like, wait a minute, hold up. You know, I used to be a manager at jobs where I hired people. So I had to look at and sometimes verify educational references. You got to understand, we can only verify what you write down to see if it's true, right? So if you write down something and I can verify by making a phone call or something, I've done my job. I called, they confirmed what was sitting. So basically, you get jobs. People fail job background checks simply by not putting accurate information down or putting things down that cannot be verified, right? So homeschooling really gives you the control over your child's education because most of the stuff you get in regular school, you're not using right now. Let's be honest. We're not using most of that stuff. Hardly any of it other than basic reading and math things. That's really all you're using. You're not using all that garbage history that they're teaching, the lies. You're not using all of that fancy math. Unless you're trying to be an engineer, you need the math. Or at one time to do computer science, you need a fancy math. And right now you don't because they have coding and all kind of software that help you do programming without even needing to know math. So really, math is only needed for people. Serious math equations only needed for skills like engineering and architecture. Things like that. Maybe some other fields. Or if you're trying to be some type of, well, if the engineering is on the line, if you're going to be a rocket scientist or something like that, you're going to build, or, if you're going to go into the sciences. So most people don't go into those fields, so they don't need all of that high math or those most sophisticated, things, right? So if you're the parent, you can teach your child what they need to survive in this world. Reading, on a college level, you give them books to read, have them follow up with, telling you about that book, maybe a book report or something, some math, the math that they would need. And you can also teach them how to balance a checkbook, some banking information, just everyday paying bills, things like that. That's real education. How to cook, how to, save money, coupons, whatever you want to do. You can really take control of your child's education with homeschooling. And many of the states don't even have standards where the parent creates their own curriculum. Texas, the parent does everything. There are no assessments. Now, how much pressure you would take off your child if they'd have to be assessed all the time and take all of these standardized testing? Worrying about getting passing grades, the stress you would take off your child? It would make for a better life for the both of you. Because you're not stressed out. A lot of these kids are stressed out trying to get these where they scoring them on every little thing, and they think that doesn't work. Because studies have shown that people who got the A's, the really serious students, they got all those A's, in life they fail. In real life. For the most part. And the people that mediocre or not so great in school who didn't buy into the garbage are the most successful. Usually the least likely to see that they label least likely to see is the ones who succeed. I remember working in the bookstore along people with PhDs and master's degrees. And like that, this is where their education took them. You see? So we all know that state-run school system, compulsory education systems, is not doing the job that you expected it to do. You know that. The only reason why you're sending your child to these schools is because the state says you have to. Or you might have to work and you feel like you have no other choice. But when you're dealing with homeschooling, you control that time that the child is being educated. It's your control. It's school that wants the child to be there for almost 8 hours a day, getting up early, leaving, and then when they go to school, they can't really associate. You can't talk in class. You can't fellowship. And even in lunch, sometimes they don't want you talking on your recess time. And they took a lot of that away. I remember when I was in school, we had lunch, and then we had about almost an hour just to run around and play before we finished the second half of the day. They took that away. So with me with me getting that information, just opened up a whole world of possibilities. And some people don't want, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, don't want to take charge of their children's mind, but rather have someone else do it for them. You might have to look yourself in the mirror and say, why? Do you believe in a system that you know is against you educating your child? Why do you fight that? Why do you fight doing it yourself and want someone else to do it? It's ridiculous. It's sad. Because we already see how it turns out. Look at your own life. Going to these school systems, how did it turn out? Did it work out for you? For the most part, it doesn't. Very few people go through those systems and go on to lead very successful lives. Small percentages. The rest go on to get jobs they hate and don't want to do. Only working these jobs because they have to, or they feel they have to, or they feel it's no other choice. Most people, 95 to 99% of the workforce, do not like the job they have, and they have education from a state-run facility, plus some college education. I don't think anybody who's listening to my voice wants to get up every day and go clock in on somebody's job. You're doing it because you have to. And why do you feel like you have to? Because someone told you, go to school, get a good education, and get a good job. You're working off a program. Not off what you want to do, what the Bible says, go have dominion. You're not working off of that. And here you put your children in the same position. I've done it too, so I'm talking to myself as well. We can change it now that I really understand. When I was thinking about doing it, I thought about things like, well, I'm going to have to do that crazy math. No, I don't. I don't, because it's not necessary. I mean, of course, you want them to have good math skills, but really the only math skills most people need is adding and subtraction and some multiplication. You go to the store, you spend $10 for something, and you give them $20. What do you get back? $10, right? That's really the math you're dealing with every day. You're not dealing with acute angles and the isosceles this and all of that. You're not doing that every day. Only time you did it was when you was in school. The last time most of us have seen any type of math like that was in school. So let's get it. And then with the schools got these new methods that they want you to do that's totally different from the way we grew up on, which makes it very difficult for a parent to even assist them in that math when they've been doing it a certain way. No, you got to do it this way. This is the method. It's almost like they're setting these kids up to fail. No, almost it is. And then people say, well, one of the problems with homeschooling is, well, they need that association. No, they don't. Because most of those kids ain't worth your kids hanging around. Some of those kids are coming out of homes where they're being abused sexually, and they're going to bring that stuff to the school to teach your child that stuff. Some of those kids are living in homes where the parents don't care about nothing, smoking weed, doing all kind of stuff, and they sitting right next to your child in that school. And just simply, some of those kids just got negative environments they're coming out of. And your child is right there associated. Oh, so what association are you talking about? Kill that noise, because do you know these kids? Do you know their parents? But yet, you send your kids to that school. You want them there. You want them, they need the healthy. No, because even in homeschooling, they have groups you can choose to hang out with in other homeschoolers, and y'all get together and y'all can do whatever. Remember what I said. If you want real prosperity, you have to hang out with people who are prosperous. And in these schools, most of these people's minds are so messed up, they're not thinking about prosperity. In middle school right now, they're talking, they got little coded words, sexual words they got going on in their text messages and stuff like that. That's where you want your child. They need to get that association. That's a BS excuse for you not doing it yourself. I know I'm stepping on some toes. I'm stepping on my own toes, actually. Because when I send my children off to school, I'm telling them one thing loud and clear, that I'm dumb because I can't educate you, and I need this school to do it for me. And that's how they treat you, don't they? That you get to adolescence, they don't want to listen to you, what you want. But then they go to school and they show the utmost respect to the teachers. Why? Psychologically, we have programmed the child to accept those people as leaders in education. And you are just the dummy who go work every day at a job you hate and pay the bills for them and give them a free meal. That's why they don't respect us. This system is psychologically helping us to program our children to disobey us and be disobedient to us. I peeped it real quick. This COVID-19 woke me up, and I saw a lot of things. And I couldn't attack my child. I had to attack myself because, wait a minute, you sitting up there thanking each teacher, oh, she gets straight A's, she's the best student in the world, and blah, 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 blah. And we wish we got here this all the time. I wish we could duplicate her. But in the background, what that's really saying is, you big dummy, you sending us here to program your child and poison her with bad history lessons, bad math tactics, and we're going to send her right back to you, and in a few years, she's going to hate you and not want to listen to you. Huh? Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. I know I'm not lying because I experienced it. I experienced it. So I know it's a fact. Yeah. You know, my sweet little girl was sweet. All about daddy didn't get into the show. I said, why is she feel? Oh, it's just adolescence. No, it's not just adolescence. It is not just adolescence. It's a psychological programming that I've allowed her to be exposed to that caused her to start thinking of me in opposition. That's what it is. We got to stop blaming it on these other things and call it what it is. The school system is designed to create one thing, another slave to the system. It's not designed to create a child that's going to be productive to your household. They're creating a child to be a good citizen, a.k.a. good slave for their system. We are handing the child over in its mind to a system to keep it forever, and you get no say-so. So y'all might want to rethink this whole homeschooling. Yes, it was a good webinar. So, yeah, and actually Beth has created a space for that, meaning if you are into homeschooling or about the homeschooling and you need a diploma and transcripts, all you got to do is contact you. You get it all done for you. Boom. Take all the problems out of it. We try to make it easy for y'all to homeschool your children. And most of these states really don't have a whole lot of requirements. Some of them have more than others. I know South Carolina is ridiculous, but I'm in North Carolina. They don't really, they have some requirements. You create your own curriculum, and then they want some assessments. But then when you read the law thoroughly, they don't check the assessments. Remember, you're the parent. You're scoring the child. Some parents get upset when the teachers score their child low, right? But if you're the teacher of the child, you ain't got to never worry about that problem, do you? Huh? Y'all want your child to be a genius, right? Here's your opportunity. Little Johnny can't do no wrong. Here's your opportunity. You're scoring the child. You're the one giving the assessment. You're in control, and no one can dispute you on that. And I trust you. You're going to raise a more intelligent, more free-thinking child, a child that can think for itself and think outside of the box and will be successful, because most homeschoolers are successful. They have compared the numbers. A higher percentage of homeschoolers are more successful than children coming out of the schools. So, and homeschoolers do go into college. All colleges want to see is the transcript, But anyway, yeah, that's it right there. Get on it. It's time for us to make a change. We have a opportunity right now. COVID-19 was perfect because it made the bad school system for our children. It was good for them. They had to shut it down and send your kid home. Now they had to readjust and create all these virtual learning environments. Why are you going to bring the state into your house now? And they're gonna take them same rules and put it in your house, and you're gonna follow them like that's what you want. You don't listen. Stop being conformed to the ways of this world. Be in this world, but not of this world. You can control. This was what being a national is all about. Being self-governed. See, the problem most people have that trip on homeschooling, they think it's not on par with what the state is giving. First of all, what the state is giving is garbage. So do you want something on par with that? It's trash. And y'all know it. The whole system needs to be thrown in the trash. Now, the teachers that teaching it really want to make a difference. Little do they know, the system that created is laughing at them. Oh, look at this fool. They really think they're going to change the system. No, the system is designed the way it's designed, and it's not going to change anytime soon. Stop waiting for people or systems to get better. You make it better. You're your own government in your own house and govern. And just imagine if you was homeschooling your child a few hours a day, giving them what they need. Because really a child only needs tops 3 to 4 hours of learning to really do stuff. They don't need 8 hours of, locked down in the classroom. They don't need that. That's really prison. Y'all knew y'all sitting like almost on house arrest with these schools, sitting 8 hours locked up, sitting here and listening to a teacher. And some of these teachers don't really like teaching. They get frustrated with the children. Then they're around all of this bad association, drugs here. They got drugs running through the schools. They're promoting homosexuality and all of the sexual innuendos on your child. You're sending your child into a den of thieves or a den of wolves to be preyed upon. But we're so confused and so insane, we think that's normal. It's not. It's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got a caller. Hold on. Oh, I know what this is. This is Beth. Hey, what's up?
Hey, peace, Akiem. Good.
Yes,
Good.
I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you good. I can hear you excellent. Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, I was just listening, and I'm glad that you brought up the past webinar that we did. And, every time I do research on the homeschooling laws, I learn more and more. And in Texas, the education code, if it's okay to read it, it states...
Yeah, go ahead and read it. Yeah.
Okay. It states a child, and this is section 25.086, so you can look it up yourself, but it states a child is exempt from the requirements of compulsory school attendance if the child attends a private or parochial school that includes in its course a study of good citizenship. So in Texas homeschool is considered a private school, which means that Texas, you don't even need to record attendance for the state.
See?
And there are many
easy
states
that
have, there's so many states that are like that have very little requirements. In Texas, you don't even need to have a high school diploma to teach your child homeschool.
That's, what do you think about that? That those requirements so relaxed, whereas the schools got all these stringent requirements. What do you I think it says a lot that all of the stuff that the schools are doing is not necessary to be successful.
I agree. I don't think
all this extra stuff is not
to be in
necessary.
school for 8 hours a day or as many hours a day. And it's funny because in a lot of states, the requirements only require you to do 4 hours a day.
Right.
For homeschooling.
Right. So I think with the 8 hours a day in the school is training for 8 hours a day on the job.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a training exercise.
Yeah.
Right.
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Right.
Or 8
when
to
you
4.
really look at it, right. So, we really got to wake up and start to take a hard look at what we're doing with our children and why we're having issues with our children. First of all, you send them to a school where all kind of craziness is going on in the school. I remember when I was in school, craziness was going on then. So I know it's
my school too.
And we're sitting amongst that, into that. And one of the reasons why a lot of people don't know about homeschooling is because they never really researched it or it's not promoted. But, I think it's a great thing. I think it's an easy thing to tell you the truth. You got to just be disciplined on, what you're going to do. Right.
Right. Well, yeah, I didn't want to take too much of your time, but it's a good show so far.
Okay, thank you.
I'm listening.
All right,
okay.
Thanks for the comment.
Okay.
All right, that is Bathsheba. That's the host of the Raising Independent Thinking show. Y'all need to go back and listen to those shows. She had some great guests, and we did a show together on Sunday as well. Go back and listen. There's a lot of information. We're really going to hit this homeschooling thing hard. One of the listeners, the Document Bays, Glenda Bay, she homeschooled her children all the way from elementary to high school, and one of her granddaughters went on to college from that. So you can, if you're worried about is it acceptable to the world out there, because that's what it is. Well, the reason why you want to go to school because you want that diploma that looks good to whoever made it say that it looks good. Don't be a high school dropout. No, you're not going to be a high school dropout because you'll be homeschooled. And you're going to get a diploma. And Beth took it upon herself to order all the materials to make up the diploma and for the parents to make it easier for them if they're homeschooling to be able to say, here, I graduated. Give the world what they want. Say Caesar's things to Caesar's. But what you got to do is do it in a way where you're not disrupting your peace. I hated school. I already told y'all guys. I went on to get a GED and all of that stuff, and And I just went and took the test and passed it. I did no studying. Just to tell you how easy that stuff is. Let me take another caller. Hold on there. 901-265.
Peace. Akiem, how are you this evening?
Peace. What's going on? How you doing?
It's all good. This is Glenda with the Document Days.
Hey,
and
we was just talking about you.
Yes, I was
Speaking
just
of
calling.
the angel.
Speaking
of the God. That's how we say it now.
Yes. What was that again?
I said, speaking of the God. You know how some people say, speaking of the devil? I say, speaking
Yes.
of the God.
Yes. But I just wanted to reiterate what you're saying about homeschooling our children, time that we take control of children. Because if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And actually, when you send your children down to school, you're actually feeding them to become agents of the state.
Yes, you are. Yep.
When they become a certain age, they don't want to hear you.
Nope.
And we've fed them and clothed them and sent them to the enemy to destroy them. So I just encourage the parents to think about it. Think about it. You can teach to be what you want them to be. I have a nephew.
Right.
He has 2 boys. He's a contractor. He does not home. We have him in a private school. The oldest one is 12. The youngest one is 8. He's teaching them right now electricians and heat and air. Right now. So I said that to say this. While you're teaching them in your home, you can also teach them heating and air. You can teach them electricity. You can teach them anything that you want. You can teach them how to build a house.
Right. I mean, I know how to fix cars. I mean, I can change. There's a lot of things I can do. I could go and do some minor plumbing work and some little, put in security cameras, and I can teach that to my children.
Yes,
these are things that they need to do. And
every day.
Just like you're stating, go ahead, finish, and I just want to add in. Go ahead, finish.
I just want to throw in, I taught mine carpentry. I taught them how to do repairs. Whatever needed to be done, I was teaching that to them, how to work on computers, how to take them apart, put them back together.
Right.
I just challenged them. We went on field trips. We did it all without the assistance of the state. So I just want to encourage. Yeah, when they're
very young. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I got my grandson here with me. He's staying with me, him and my oldest son. And he's like a sponge. And he wants to be his hands. And I know if he went to regular school, they would ruin him.
They would destroy him.
He wants to do everything. He wants to touch everything. He wants to learn. I mean, he's just excited about life, period.
Let him do it.
So, I'm doing everything I can to encourage that excitement. He's not around here crying, and he's just excited. I bought him some you can buy those butterfly kits.
Yes.
I bought him one of those, and the 2 butterflies just came out of the chrysalis. Grandpa, come see. He's like excited. Look at that. See, that's an experience he will never forget.
Yes.
And that's learning. That's a class. Just seeing the metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly, and what it takes.
And that's the baby too. That's seeing him develop. You're seeing him get his wings so that he can learn life and learn little things, because eventually, when he's in public school, they drown that.
He's not going to see that. He's not going to get that. He's not going to get that. So I every chance I get, I try to buy something that he can educate himself off. Like I also, today I bought a little robotic kit that we're gonna put together. It's like a drone, and after we put it together, it actually works.
That's great.
So he's He's like, when we gonna put this together? I was like, not today. That thing got 200-something pieces. We ain't doing it today. We're gonna pick a day. We're gonna work on it. You know, it's giving me work, and I know it takes me away from some of the things I want to do, but nothing more important than
the baby.
It's like I get an opportunity to do what I didn't do with my boys when they were young.
There you have it.
And see how he turns out, by taking ownership of his education and not giving it up to someone else. And he already can count. He can already say his ABCs. He's already writing. He's 5. He's about to be 6. He can do all of that. He sings his ABCs. So what can kindergarten or the first grade teach him right now? Nothing. But how to sit down and follow orders,
That's the key. I heard one teacher explain it. What their goal is to teach the child to obey. That's it.
That's it. That's why in the Texas Code they're talking about good citizens. That's what that means. Teach them how to follow rules.
How to follow instructions.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I just want to encourage the parents to think about it, because it's not the state's responsibility to educate your child. It's yours, but we have given it over to the state, and sometimes the parents be so happy to get the child out of the home. I'd be so glad when little Johnny
just some of these ratchet folks want to send the kids off so they can smoke their weed and do their thing.
Yeah, at 2 years old.
They using the school as a babysitter,
Yeah.
Basically.
But it's all about our children. If we don't save them, they won't be saved. They won't be saved.
All right. Okay.
Thanks,
Linda, for that comment and encouragement. Thank you.
Yes.
Once again.
Yes. Enjoy.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Thank peace. All right. I'm going to get there. I know I got some more calls. I'm going to come and get you 253-476 right after I take a small break. My daughter's about to call, and I don't want to get your question and have to stop. But also, I have this ain't the end of the show, because I got to tell you who really created this Constitution. The truth about it. And I got the congressional documents to prove it. Some of us already know, but it's good to hear it read to you who created it and how the government is telling you who created it. But that's in the next hour. So next hour I'll be coming back. I'll take a phone call, and then I'll read that document. Let me see. Let me leave y'all with some.
You are listening to Akiem, an American national, but not a citizen of the United States.
All right. I'm back. Okay. I'm going to get this one caller, and then I'm going to go to read this document and show y'all who constructed your Constitution. See, we've been lied to with all of this fake history. But here we go. Let me get this. 253-476.
Yeah, peace to the guys. Akiem, how you doing?
Hey, peace. What's going on?
Yeah, it's going good. I just want to thank you for the show. This is some great information that you're giving out pertaining to the children. And Glenda, she really had nailed it, the information that she was just giving. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really good. Are we allowed to ask a question off a topic?
I would take those questions after I read this document.
Okay.
The off-topic stuff. If you want to go to something else, just wait.
Yeah, it's about the name
just hold
change,
on. I'll come back to you.
in the court. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Peace to the guys.
All right. No problem. All right. Peace. All right. So let's get right into this document. I know I said I wasn't teaching remedy on the air. Really, I'm not teaching remedy. I'm just right now teaching history. But I could not go and not expose you to this information. It's actually 395 pages. But of course, I'm not going to read 395 pages. I'm just going to read some important stuff to help you understand who framed these constitutions, what happened. All right? So this document is in the chat, and it's straight from the government's website. It's not from some, fly-by-night site. It's right from the government's website. I put the link in the chat. I'll put it in the chat once again for you. Here it is. There it is. Y'all can go look it up. That's the PDF version of the document. And it says, Iroquois Confederacy of Nations. Hearing before the Select Committee on Indian Affairs, United States Senate, 100th Congress, first session, on Senate Congressional Resolution 76. To acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois Confederation of Nations to the development of the U.S. Constitution and to reaffirm the continual government-to-government relationship between Indian tribes and the United States established in the Constitution. Now, this was done December 2nd, 1987 in Washington, D.C. And then this was ratified in 1988. So this was not too long ago. But when did they make this public to you? That the Iroquois Confederation of Nations, Confederacy of Nations, which was here way before we had the Articles of Confederation and we had the 13 colonies. That's where your constitutions came from, you know. So, hang on. All right. Let's go. Let me read it. Let me read something to you. I'm going to read some of this to you. So, it says here, and it's got all the people's names, Select Committee on Indian Affairs, and the names of all of the people involved. I won't read all of that. Let me skip down. I'm going past the contents of the document. Wednesday, December 2nd, 1987, U.S. Senate Select Committee on Indian Affairs, Washington, D.C. The committee met pursuant to notice at 9:09 a.m. in room 485, Russell Senate Office Building. Honorable Daniel K. Inouye, chairman of the committee, presiding. Present Senator Inouye. That's an Indian name. I can't pronounce it right. The chairman of the committee will come to order. This morning, the Select Committee will consider Senate Congressional Resolution 76, a resolution to acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois Confederation of Nations to the development of the United States Constitution and to reaffirm the continual government-to-government relationship between Indian tribes and the United States as established in the Constitution. This year has been the beginning of numerous activities in celebration of the bicentennial of the United States Constitution. A number of Indian leaders believe that it was also an appropriate time to re-examine the history of the Constitution. See, they had to read because they know the history was a lie, particularly in terms of acknowledging the contributions of the Iroquois Confederation, Confederacy of Nations in its formulation and to clarify the status of Indian tribes in relation to the United States. Over the years, the federal-Indian relationship has become a quagmire of confusion and misunderstanding subjected to the whims of each administration. Our government's role has been marked by paternalism, conflicts of interest, and mismanagement of the part of the bureaucracy charged with administering the lands and other assets of Indian tribes and individual Indians. Educational and legal scholars, in conjunction with Indian tribes and Indian leaders, have been researching the historical origins of the United States Constitution and the interpretation of key provisions of the Constitution that speak to the way in which Indian tribes in the United States relate to one another. There now appears to be a strong consensus emerging among Indian tribes that the United States has strayed from the original intent of the framers of the Constitution and their vision of relationship between the U.S. and the tribes. This morning's impressive agenda of witnesses will address these issues and hopefully enlighten us from their perspectives as to what must be undertaken by the Congress. And we are to preserve the original intent of the framers of the Constitution and keep faith with this government's historical commitment to the Indians. As some of you are aware, the Select Committee on Indian Affairs have recently established a special committee on investigations to examine the problems associated with the administration of Indian affairs and Indian programs. This special committee will begin operating in the very near future, and it is my belief that the Senate Congressional Resolution 76 will be enhanced by the work to be undertaken by this Special Committee on Investigation. So, here we go. The concurrent resolution to acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois Confederation of Nations to the development of the United States Constitution, and to reaffirm the continuing government-to-government relationship between Indian tribes of the United States established in the Constitution. Whereas the original framers of the Constitution, including most notably George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, are known to have greatly admired the concepts, principles, and governmental practices of the Six Nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, and whereas the Confederation of the original 13 colonies into one republic was explicitly modeled upon the Iroquois Confederacy, as were many of the democratic principles which were incorporated into the Constitution itself. What is this saying? They got their information from the indigenous people of this land. And we all know that's your ancestors. I know they want to call y'all black, African American, all this other BS, but these are your people. Right here, black and white, they're saying who created these constitutions. But it gets deeper. And, let me continue, and whereas since the formation of the United States, the Congress has recognized the sovereign status of Indian tribes and has, through the exercise of powers reserved to the federal government in the Commerce Clause of the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, dealt with Indian tribes on a government-to-government basis and has, through the Treaty Clause, Articles 2, Section 2, Clause 2, entered into 370 treaties with Indian tribal nations. And whereas from the first treaty entered into with an Indian nation, the treaty with the Delaware Indians of September 17, 1778, and thereafter into every Indian treaty until the cessation of treaty making in 1871, the Congress has assumed a trust responsibility, an obligation to Indian tribes and their members to exercise the utmost good faith in dealings with the Indians, as provided by the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, 1, Statute 50, and whereas Congress has consistently reaffirmed these fundamental policies over the past 200 years through legislation specifically designed to honor these special relationships. And whereas the judicial system of the United States has consistently recognized and reaffirmed the special relationship now therefore to be it, resolved by the Senate, the House of Representatives concurring that, 1, the Congress on the occasion of 200th anniversary of the signing of the United States Constitution acknowledges the historical debt which the Republic of the United States of America owes to the Iroquois Confederation. It says historical debt, right? And other Indian nations for their demonstration of enlightenment, democratic principles of government, and the example of free association of independent Indian nations. Now, according to the history books, the Indians were all savage. They were scalpers. They walked around with these cloths just barely covering up their privates. But this here, let me just repeat it. Repeat it again. Acknowledges the historical debt which this Republic of the United States of America owes to the Iroquois Confederacy and other Indian nations for their demonstration of enlightened, democratic principles of government and the example of free association of independent Indian nations. So these people were so savage that you had to go and get their way of governing in order to create your Constitution. So if they owe a debt, a historical debt to these tribes, to these indigenous folks, how can you get repaid if you're calling yourself African American or black or any other title that's outside of your tribal affiliation? I would suggest you people start doing research on your family background and start claiming these things. Start doing this passport process. I've been telling you, the doors are open up again to do them. You may not be able to do expedited, but they're still getting them back in 6 to 8 weeks. Y'all need to start claiming, making these claims. Put it on. Put it on paper. I already did mine. I did it for my daughter as well. making these claims, they're going to have to pay up. And here's the congressional record to prove it. Number 2, the Congress also hereby reaffirms the constitutionally recognized government-to-government relationship with Indian tribes, which have historically been the cornerstone of this nation's official Indian policy. The Congress specifically acknowledged and reaffirms the trust responsibility. Do you hear they see that word, trust? And that's all I've been trying to get y'all on, trust. Yeah, I know other people have been trying to coattail me and backdoor and come whatever with their trust information. That's fine. You want to go with it, go with it. Hope it works out. But I know mine is working out because the proof is there. Matter of fact, I finally got my EIN, got my bank account open, boom, bam, shebang. It's good. Very simple. Including, let me continue, including Alaska Natives for their preservation, protection, and enhancement, including the provisions of health, education, social, and economic assistance programs as necessary to assist tribes to perform their governmental responsibility to provide for the social and economic well-being of their members and to preserve tribal cultural identity and heritage. So it says you got to preserve your tribal cultural identity and heritage. And the Congress also acknowledges the need to exercise the utmost good faith in upholding its treaties with the various tribes as the tribes understood them to be, and the duty of a great nation to uphold its legal and moral obligations for the benefit of citizens so that they and their posterity may also continue to enjoy the rights they have enshrined in the United States Constitution for time immemorial. Let me read this another statement. Statement of Honorable Orrin Lyons, Chief Onondaga Nation, Nedjo, New York, accompanied by Gregory Schaaf, historian, Six Nations of the Iroquois Confederation. I'm going to read this and that'll be it. Again, it is an honor and a pleasure to address the Senate Select Committee on Indian Affairs concerning Senate Congressional Resolution 76 in recognition to the Iroquois Confederation contribution to the Constitution of the United States. I have titled this discussion, The Land of the Free and the Home of the Brave. I'm going to discuss the early history prior to the coming of the white man on this continent, which receives little attention in the history of this country. But it was in these early times that the development of democratic process came about on this land. And I would like to give you our history, a very short history, of course, but it will deal with those times. So I shall begin. Upon the continent of North America, prior to the landfall of the first white man, a great league of peace was formed. The inspiration of the prophet called the peacemaker. Y'all need to read who this peacemaker is. Let me read this. He was a spiritual being fulfilling the mission of organizing warring nations into a confederation under the great law of peace. The principles of the law are peace, equity, and justice, and the power of the good mind. Ooh, it's a mind science. With the help and support of the like-minded man called Hiawatha, whom some people now call Hiawatha and Onondaga by birth and Mohawk by adoption, he set about the great work of establishing a union of peace under the immutable natural laws of the universe. Matter of fact, I can't do that. I got to tell you who the great peacemaker is. Here he is. And he's going to sound very familiar to some of y'all folks. Very familiar. Here's the link. It's Wikipedia. Here it is. Background. I'm just going to read part of this. The great peacemaker's name means the two river currents flowing together. Some of the numerous legends about the great peacemaker have conflicting information. It is reported that he was born Huron, and by some accounts his mother was a virgin, making the birth miraculous. Doesn't that sound familiar to y'all? So they're saying this is who they paid homage to, or their god, or their deity, and he has similar characteristics to this Christ or Jesus that we've been taught all our lives. And that's I'm gonna stop there. Y'all do y'all research on that. Who wrong? He wrong. And you see other similarities with that name in Egyptian culture too. All right. So let me go back to where I was. He came to our lands in our darkest hour when the good message of how to live had been cast aside and naked power ruled, fueled by vengeance and bloodlust. A great war of attrition engulfed the lands, and women and children cowered in fear of their own men. Leaders were fierce and merciless. They were fighting in blind rage. Nations, homes, and families were destroyed, and the people were scattered. It was a dismal world of dark disasters where there seemed to be no hope. It was a raging proof of what humanity man is capable of when the laws and principles of life are thrown away. The peacemaker came to our lands bringing a message of peace supported by Hayan Wasa. He began the great work of healing the twisted minds of men. This is a long history, too long to recount today in this forum. Suffice it to say, it's a great epic that culminated on the shores of the lake now called Onondaga, where, after many years of hard work, some say perhaps even 100 years, he gathered the leaders who had now become transformed into rational human beings into a grand council, and he began the instructions of how a great league of peace would work. He set up the families into the clans, then he set up the leaders of the clans. He established that league of peace would be matriarchal. Did you hear that? He established that league of peace would be matriarchal, and that each clan would have a clan mother. Thus, he established a law that the equal rights of women. See, our ancestors, we already had women on a certain level. This whole way we live in this patriarchal society is their thing. He raised the leaders of each clan, 2 men, one the principal leader and the second his partner. They worked together for the good of the people. He called these 2 men Hayana, or the good minds, the peacemakers, and they were to represent their clans and councils. Thus, he established the principle of representation of the people in government. Henceforth, he said, these men will be chosen by the clan mother, freely using her insight and wisdom. So, our ancestors attributed insight and wisdom to the woman. Her choice must first be ratified by the consensus of the clan. If they agreed, then her choice must be ratified by full consensus of the chiefs, councils of their nation. Then her choice must be ratified and given over to the council of chiefs, who then called the Grand Council of the Great League of Peace, and they will gather at the nation that is raising this leader, and they will work together in ceremony. He made 2 houses in each nation. One he called the Long House, and the other he called the Mud House. They would work together in ceremony and council, establishing the inner source of the vitality and dynamics necessary for community. He made 2 houses in the Grand Council, one called the Younger Brothers, consisting of the Oneida and the Cayuga nations, and later enlarged to include the Tuscarora. The other was the Elder Brothers, consisting of the Mohawks, which title keepers of the Eastern Door, the Onondaga, whom he made the Fire Keepers, and the Senecas, who were the keepers of the Western Door. Now he made the house, and the rafters of the house were the laws that he laid down. And he called us Haudenosaunee, the people of the Long House. Now the candidate for the clan title is brought before the Grand Council and will be judged by his merits. And they have the right of veto. If they agree, then he may take his place in Grand Council, but before that he turned back to the people and they will ask if they know a reason why this man should not be a leader and hold titles. Thus the process is a full circle back to the people. Thus the peacemaker established the process of raising leaders for governance, and by this process a leader cannot be self-proclaimed. He is given his title and his duties, and his authority is derived from the people, and the people have the right to remove him for malfeasance of office. Doesn't it sound so familiar to what you're reading in some of these concepts about the people? But they have convoluted it and infiltrated and adulterated it with all kind of other craziness that we're not in our original position, and this is why we can't succeed. Let me continue. He established the power of recall in the clan mother, and it is her duty to speak to him. If he is receiving complaints from the people concerning his conduct, the clan mother shall speak to him 3 times, giving him sufficient time between warnings for him to change his ways. There's the 3 times. She shall have a witness each time. The first will be her niece, in other words, a woman. The second shall be the partner of the chief in council or the principal leader, as the case may be. And a third and final warning comes with a man who holds no title, and he is coming for the chief's wampum and for the chief's emblem of authority, the antlers of a deer. Thus he established the power of recall vested in the people. The leader must be free from any crime against a woman or child. He cannot have killed anybody. He cannot have blood on his hands. He must believe in the ways of the longhouse. His heart must yearn for the welfare of the people. He must have great compassion for his people. He must have great tolerance, and his skin must be 7 spans thick to withstand the accusations, slander, insults of the people as he goes about his duties for the people. So basically, this leader must be an alpha male. It said he must have great tolerance, and his skin must be 7 spans thick. Do y'all know any men like this? That can, you got people out there, somebody talk about them, they ready to jump and do, they talking about me. That's not a leader. A person that jumps at everything that somebody say about them. And they must be able to withstand accusations, slander, insults of the people as he goes about his duty for the people. This sounds a lot like the Christ story. How he went through that trial of people slandering him. Sounds a lot. He has no authority but what the people give him in respect. He has no force of arms to demand the people obey his orders. He shall lead by example, and his family shall not influence his judgment. He carries his title for life or until he is relieved of it by his bad conduct or ill health. He now belongs to the people. At the first council, there were 50 original leaders. That sounds kind of familiar. Don't we have any states we got? And their names become offices to be filled by each succeeding generation. So it continues up to this very day. The great peacemaker has established a government of absolute democracy. The constitution of the great law intertwined with the spiritual law. We then became a nation of laws. The people came of their own free will to participate in the decisions making of the National Council and the Grand Council. Thus, he instilled in the nations the inherent rights of the individual with the process to protect and exercise these rights. Sovereignty then began with the individual, and all people were recognized to be free, from the very youngest to the eldest. It was recognized and provided for in the great law of peace that the liberty and equality demanded great moral fortitude, and it was of nature of the free man to defend freedom. Thus freedom begat freedom, and great societies of peace prevailed, guided by the leaders, the good minds. The men were restrained by moral conduct, and a family with the woman at its heart was the center of Indian societies and nations. Now the great peacemaker said the symbol of Haudenosaunee shall be the great white pine, with 4 white roots of truth extending to the 4 cardinal directions, and those people who have no place to go shall follow these roots back to the tree and seek shelter under the long leaves of the white pine that we shall call the great tree of peace. I shall place an eagle atop the tree to be ever vigilant against those who would harm this tree, and the eagle shall scream his warnings to our chiefs, whose duty is to nurture and protect this tree. Now we have those. Don't we use the eagle on some of our coins? Money. This is where they get it from, y'all. Let me read this last paragraph, as it is quite lengthy. And then I just want to read this last one. Then that'll be it. Now that this is done, the chiefs, clan mothers, and faith keepers being raised and the great law being firmly established in place, he said, I now uproot this tree and command you to throw all your weapons of war into this chasm, to be carried by the undercurrents of water to the furthest depths of the earth, and I'll place this tree back over this chasm, throwing away forever. War between us and peace shall prevail. This sounds a lot like something in Revelation. This is what prevailed upon the great Turtle Island at the first landfall of the white man. We all know who Turtle Island is. He found here in full flower 3 nations guided by democratic principles, all under the authority of the natural law, the ultimate spiritual law of the universe. This was then the land of the free and the home of the brave. Now, I got to give you our remedy here. Y'all should be putting stuff in your paper, natural law and spiritual law. This is your ancestors' words. Sovereignty and sovereignty, as understood by the Europeans, related to the power of kings and queens, of royalty to rule men as they saw fit, to enslave human beings and control in total the lives and property of their subjects. Strange indeed it must have been immigrants to find a land with nothing but free people and free nations. The impact has reverberated down through history to this time. As Felix Cohen put it, the Indian people had Americanized the white man. So when people tell me that me telling you to use American national in your paperwork is wrong, I beg to differ, because this document just said the Indian people had Americanized the white man. So who are the true Americans? See, they don't hold a candle to what I know. See, I've been holding back on y'all. Because I know there's naysayers. I know what's out there, out to destroy the information. That's why I went total private with it. But I had to read this. I had to show y'all who y'all really are. This is a congressional record, y'all. This is a speech that was given. It's recorded for history. But they're not going to teach this in the history book. They're not going to show you who you really are. Stop calling yourself Black, African American, all these other crazy titles. Call yourself who you are. Know thyself. And put it in your paperwork. Everywhere. Write it down. If it ain't there for you to write it down, scratch out that crap they got on there and write it in. Exercise your natural rights, your spiritual rights. You are operating under natural law and the ultimate spiritual law of the universe. The first treaty between the Indians and the white man took place at Schenectady. Now, they got a Schenectady, New York, and it's spelled differently. See, they just changed up some of these spellings, but all of these names, these street names, are your tribal ancestor names. The place where the pines begin. It is now called Albany, New York. In 1613 or thereabout, it was a treaty that was the grandfather of treaties, and it was called the Griswinter or the Two-Row Wampum. The treaty established our equal rights in this land and our separate and equal coexistence on this land between our two peoples. The canoe of the Indian and the boat of the white man going down the river of life in peace and friendship forever. The last three principles were memorialized in the great silver covenant chain with the three binding us together forever, peace and friendship forever. As long as the grass grows green, as long as the water runs downhill, and as long as the sun rises in the east. Sun rises in the east is a Masonic term. And sets in the west shall we hold the treaty. This is where those original words come from. So the Masons have stolen that. It is this treaty that I brought today. It is this belt that I speak of. This is our canoe, the Indian people, their government, and their religions. This is our brother, the white man's boat, his religion, his government, and his people. Together, side by side, we go down the river of life in peace and friendship and mutual coexistence. As you know, we never come together. We are equal. Benjamin Franklin observed these differences in government and remarked. This is from Benjamin Franklin. The care and labor provided for artificial and fashionable wants, the sight of so many rich wallowing in superfluous plenty, whereby so many are kept poor and distressed for want, the insolence of office, and the restraints of custom are all contrived to disgust the Indians with what we call civil society. But yet we had books that just totally destroyed the image of the indigenous people of this land. And here we are. It's a total retraction of history right here. These remarks he made in 1770. So we now come to the process of transference of democratic ideas and ideals from the Indian to the white man. It was a process of association of years of meetings, discussion, wars and peace. Treaties became a process of relationships. Early America was steeped in Indian law and social and political association. There were long-standing interrelationships between the colonies and the Indian nation that surrounded them. It was our grandfathers who took their grandfathers by the hand and urged them to form a union such as ours so that they may prosper at the Treaty of Lancaster in 1744. And it was Benjamin Franklin who took notes at that treaty and became inspired to such a union. It was your grandfathers who said to our chiefs at German Flats in 1775 that they would now take our advice and form such a union and plan a treaty of peace in Philadelphia where all could seek shelter. Finally, it was our chiefs and leaders who first acknowledged you as a new and separate nation, independent and free, with these words: brothers, the whole Six Nations take this opportunity to thank you that you have acquainted us with your determination to so public a manner, and we shall for the future consider you as the 13th independent state. So who recognized who? The Iroquois Federation is the one who ordained them as the 13 colonies. Oh. You can't dispute it. It's right here. But I'm going to stop right there. I mean, because it gets even deeper, but it's so much to read. And I'm going to stop, right there. And I'm going back. So, I just read y'all. Yes, 395 pages. Y'all got a lot of reading to do. And y'all need to be taking this and putting it in your paperwork. See, there's no other remedy but facts. There's no other remedy but truth. And you can go ahead and let people give y'all fancy things to trick y'all minds with. I know I gave y'all, I hear you, Jael, this is much, your brain hurts. Yeah, because it hurts because it's so conflicting with what we've been taught, and here it is right in our face. And this came to me just like everything else comes to me. I was doing something else and just stumbled upon it. But did I really stumble upon it, or did the ancestors give it to me? Because I was looking for something totally different. And I found this. And it was, what is this? Let me read this. And I always go to the .gov sites. I don't go to the .org. I go to the government website to get this information. So with that being said, let me take a phone call. If y'all got something to say on this, I know y'all got a lot to say. I know. Raise your hand. 253-476. You wanted to go in on the name change thing.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Akiem, for taking my call.
Hey,
yeah, that's some pretty heavy-duty information you just gave. Yeah, my computer is in the shop right now. Service till tomorrow. I'm going to print that out.
Heavy duty. It totally contradicts all of the news and everything saying that the 13 founding fathers, they're not the founding fathers. The Iroquois Confederation founded them. And they framed their constitution off of the advice of them, but then they switched it up and did a whole switcheroo in how they do things.
Yeah, with that being a congressional record, there's quite a bit of information in there that I can use in my paperwork.
Oh, I only read part of it. I read a fraction of this thing. It's so much things you can do with this.
Yeah, no, I can feel the energy coming off of you. You get really excited.
Some of y'all going to court trying to do this name change, and they just shutting y'all down. All you got to do is whip this out. I'm going according to the great peacemaker and natural law and spiritual law, the highest law. They can't stop y'all, okay? There's no stopping you.
Right. Yeah.
Because great peacemakers is on par with what they've been teaching about Christ. I just read you his history. Say, wait a minute, this sounds like a Christ story here. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, brother. What you had to say? Yeah.
Yeah, that's some heavy-duty stuff. Yeah, but my question I wanted to ask you, over here in Washington State, the courts for name change correction is like 3 weeks behind before we go before the judge to get our name change.
Yeah.
But my question is that me and my wife, we're going together because the first, mine is going to be $200, and because we're in a family, all the other people is only like 50% off. So, but my question is, once we get that court order, can that be used as a defense against the Internal Revenue Service bombarding you because the distinction on the paperwork?
That's the whole premise of why I got y'all doing it. Whole premise. The whole permanent sponsor. It's a remedy for just about everything right now. But right now, I just want y'all to get it done, and then you're in a private class, so you're going to get the where I'm going with this. I'm going somewhere. I'm not just taking y'all just for it. The trust in 1041s is great. That's great, and that's going to give y'all some freedom with your finances and stuff like that. But I'm taking y'all somewhere totally where I don't reveal it because I don't want nobody to know where I'm taking y'all. I'm taking y'all somewhere.
I already know where you're taking us. I'm not going to mention
it. This document right here has a lot to do with it.
I'm not going to say anything, but
they got a trust responsibility. It says it in this document. There's a trust responsibility, and we're dealing in trust. Okay, that's all I got to say on that.
And another thing, I don't know if I'm talking out of term. If I say with all of this paperwork that you're giving, we're entitled to reparations.
Yeah. But see, they're trying to give reparations for African Americans. See, that's a permission
ridiculous.
thing. There is no permission thing. There's a trust thing that's going on right here. Meaning there's a right. You got, so if you in your proper status saying who you are, they got to deal with you. They got to handle their business.
Yeah.
They got to handle their business. Okay?
Exactly.
That's where the reparations really should be coming from, not coming in as an African American. That's a fake story for the most part.
Yep.
You know?
Yes, it is.
So that's why they keep throwing and kicking the can down the line, because they know it's BS, and y'all, most of us are falling for it, and they just keep laughing behind our back. Yeah. Reparation. No.
I know.
They already got it written out, this trust agreement, what you'll get it, because I read government assistance, benefits, all. I just read that in that document.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
you see?
And your trade name, I was looking over your trade name paperwork that you did, that you showed us on the show. Your trade name paperwork, doesn't that go hand in your trade name? Don't that go hand in hand with the correction of the upper and lowercase name?
Absolutely. Because my trade name, my upper and lower owns that.
Clear. Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yes, Dynamite, right. Man. I appreciate it.
Now, here's the thing. A lot of people say, Akiem, you said we doing business ads. We're not supposed to be doing business ads. No, I'm not doing business ads. I'm taking ownership, saying that name is a trade name. That's my name. Y'all, I don't want nobody else doing business with it.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
This is some heavy-duty stuff that you're teaching now. Definitely. Really.
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to hog up the line. I'm going to let you get the next person.
All right.
Okay. All right. Peace to God. Thanks a lot.
All right. Peace to God. Now, I know, Spirit said, Akiem, don't teach no remedy on the ear anymore. And I'm not really. I'm just reading the document to you and showing you remedy. I'm not really saying how to do anything. And the Spirit said, read this document to wake y'all up. This is to hit y'all over the head that where y'all going? Y'all keep looking in these other directions. Here it is. I just gave y'all the congressional record. I put the link. Go read it. 395 pages. Read it. And I knew it was going to be a headbanger when I read it. Let me get this other caller. 786-597.
Hello, Akiem.
Hey, what's going on? Peace.
Hey, this is Jamie. How you doing, sir?
What's up, Jamie? What's going on?
Yeah, man, this thing gave me a really bad headache, man. So my whole perspective of everything has changed. So it kind of gave me a good challenge to go back and see what I missed in regards to for the hearing for the name change. I didn't get it, so I just did something else. We get a rehearing. Yes, I don't know if I missed something or I didn't say something or something I did said that caused me not to get it. So that's in it.
Don't sweat that. Right our next meeting, I'm going to reveal some other stuff, some workarounds and things like that. But everything's good. Everything good. No, don't worry about that.
Okay. So I downloaded this thing, man. I'm probably going to start reading it. I'm going to read some of it tonight, and I'll carry the rest tomorrow morning. Because right now, what you have read now, oh man,
right.
It took the whole world upside down, man. So I had to step back and see the big picture. Yeah, so
right.
Thanks a lot
now,
for that.
You go study the Peacemaker. You study Heron, Osiris. What's the other one? There's another name. All of these characters are the same people, man. Pride, the same people we talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
all right, man. Peace. Thanks. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Man, I think I gave y'all a lot tonight to think about. Not only on the spiritual side, in your lives. Just telling y'all who y'all are. Stop letting these people tell y'all who you are. Y'all know y'all family got air property running all over this country. Claim your place. It's still there. The trust is still there. It's just sitting there waiting for somebody to come and take part. All right, with that being said, if no one else got a comment or anything, I'm going to shut it down. Let's see. Let me just double check some things. So think about that. Okay, private membership is going to be closing again this coming Saturday. First meeting for the private members will be Sunday. I've slashed it down to $1,500, and there's a lot coming with that. That's 1 year that premium membership where you're going to be at first-hand knowledge of new information. You're going to be getting walkthrough, setting up your trust, hooked up with all my peoples that going to put y'all on a path to getting some freedom with y'all bills. They call it discharge. I call it recoupment. That's the right way. People who are in my class already see the value of it. So get in there. Because that's where I'm going to be dropping the heavy information. That's where y'all going to get it. That's where y'all going to get walk through. I'm practically holding people's hands and walking through this process in the class. And the only reason why I said it's a year because that's all it takes. Once you get everything down, you don't need me anymore. You got it. You're totally free. Operating in trust, able to recoup your expenses throughout the year properly without problems. Come on. This is what y'all been looking for, but y'all been running, people have caught up with other people and got themselves caught up. Nah, I don't play that. I don't play those games. So get in that class. I sent our email out today. If you didn't get an email about it, email me, and I'll send you the information for you to sign up. I want y'all to get in there. Because once that, Saturday ends, it's over. I'm not taking another class probably for another 6, 7, 8 months. Because I can only handle 2 at a time, because it's a lot of work that needs to be done. And, and we're about halfway through with the other class. So, with that being said, and support the other shows. Bun Bay is on Monday now, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. He had 2 good shows. He's sharing his personal experiences. He's personally did some things and got some remedy on some things. And he could share that with you. He's going to be talking about the information that I've moved on, and that because I'm doing so many things that I can't go back to birth certificate authentication. He gonna be doing that. Then we got Jessica and Tasia. They're doing Divine Connection. They possibly do the same thing. Talk about some of the old stuff. And then you got Bathsheba on Sunday, and she's totally dedicated to helping you free your children's minds, helping them become independent thinkers. And my son is between Friday and Saturday with his show. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of information out there. I got other 10 mates. Rely on them. Get a consultation with Bathsheba about the homeschool if you got questions. She can answer it all. She did all the research. Jessica and Tasia came out with an e-book about surviving, just in case, the system breaks down. Go check them out. jtmuse.com. And Beth's website is homeschool-guide.com. I'm going to just put it in the chat instead of trying to remember that off my head, top of my head. Here it is. It's going in the chat. And the webinar is available on her site. The homeschool webinar we just did, very good webinar. Go check that out. It's there. All right. Let's see. Let me leave y'all with some red.